So today, every week, I do Girl Talk with Crystal, and I'm excited of where it's evolving. It's pretty cool. Um, I actually met a girl recently who has a whole movement called Girl Talk, and she has created this space for young girls um, and who are struggling with everything young girls struggle with at that middle age, teen, like preteen, early teenage years of, self-esteem and just comparing yourself, and especially now with social media. And so when I met her, it was like this divine intervention, and I'm excited to get involved in what she's doing, but I'm like, oh, then I might get to change the name of Girl Talk. So you guys know me, my MO is always evolving, but the intention behind these weekly talks is to just get a weekly dose of things that are on my mind, things um, that are affecting my life. I'm constantly investing time, money, and energy in learning to be like a better version of myself. And so I'm always sharing that with you guys. And this was my space and my way of doing that. So, that being said, my vision of Girl Talk was that it would be a conversation, which is why I do it on Zoom so that you are able to interact with me. But it kind of evolved into me just sharing like my weekly 2 cents. And so what I'm going to be doing for Girl Talk, and when I change the name, it'll really be just like me, my like Crystal's 2 cents or something like that, my 20 cents. Like that's what this will be. And then I have what I'm really excited about, which I'm going to share with you guys today. I have a podcast coming, and that's where my discussion vision is going to come to life, where I'm interacting with speakers. I have a girl right now who she and I were talking about being like, she's so spiritual and uses these words like universe and energy that I wasn't sure who her God was, like who she like worshiped. And so I asked her, and she's like, Jesus. I pray to Jesus every day. And I'm like, okay, me too. Like I consider myself to be this like woo-woo Christian where I believe in God. I believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God. I believe he sent his son to die for us. I believe in everything God-fearing Christians believe in, but I also believe in the universe, and I believe that the universe works in our favor. And I believe if you think of God spoke things into existence, he said, let there be light. How do we think that if God made us and he is in us and we are filled with the Spirit, how do we not think what we speak isn't going to come into existence? And so I also believe that God gave us free will, and that the prayer that we're praying for God to please come and save us is answered in human beings, and it's answered in the things that God put on the earth, because he gave us free will to create what we wanted to create. And he has this assignment on our life, and it's up to us if we choose to step into that and own that. And I believe that all that negative talk in our head is the devil trying to stop us from our assignment. So this is why I believe we cannot do life alone, and we get to do life in community with people. And that when we isolate, hold on, guys. When we isolate, we are actually creating, I'm going to pause for 1 second. Anyways, when we isolate ourselves, we are opening up space for the devil and the thoughts to take over. So whatever you believe in, that negative voice in our head, which I call the devil, is that, and like it's like the angel devil, is gonna get bigger and louder and stronger and more powerful. And this is why I am committed. I believe part of my assignment is to show up and share my truth. But this is also why people are always saying, I want to find my purpose. What is my purpose? I believe your purpose is to show up and live in your truth, because we all are here by design for somebody else. That's not ourselves. We're all here. Our story, our truth, our vulnerability, our transparency is designed for somebody else in our radius. We are all answers to somebody else's prayers. So the more we retract and we stay within ourselves, the more we rob other people of their blessings. And this is why I believe so many people are praying. Hi, Sarah. This is why I believe so many people are praying and not getting answered prayers, because the answers are right in front of them and they're not seeing them. That's not to disregard your prayers. There's also people who are looking and God's just not done with you yet. So all of that tangent to say, today, what I wanted to talk about was this problem that I have in my life with my mail. And my mail was piling up. I'm not going to be able to show you it, but if you saw my email, if you're on my email list, I shared that in the email, and I showed you the picture of how my mail has piled up again. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you might have experienced my mail a few months ago when I was like boohoo crying, like, oh my God, I found $10,000 check in my, like, so just a recap, and it's on my YouTube, you can go catch up on that. But I literally found a $10,000 fine for our property tax plus all the penalties because I don't go through my mail and I didn't see it. So it was just sitting there collecting penalties, and it got up to $10,000, and I about died and was like panicking, like, holy crap, I've already got credit card debt. I've already got so much stuff that I'm paying for, that money is going out. There's not the same amount of money coming in to match up what's going out. And I had this moment of panic. And as I went through my mail, and I'm talking like, just picture probably, I think it was like 6 trash bags worth of stuff, like mail, papers, school papers, going somewhere, papers, just stuff piled up in the corner of my closet. So when I got through it all, I also found a $10,000 check, and I went live and I was sharing about it, like literally bawling, crying, like, look at God. And at this point, I had just started tithing faithfully I was probably about 6 months in. So I think I'm around a year. If I were to track my money, I would know this, but I don't up until now. So this is where I'm going with this story, is my mail piled up. And in that moment, I was like completely broken and then inspired, like, oh my gosh, I'm never letting my mail pile up like this again. And I'm committed to checking my mail every day. Well, guess what? And let me know if you can relate. Throw some hearts, do something on the Zoom. Who can relate to having a moment where you're completely tired, you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you're like, that's it. I'm tired of my body looking like this. I'm going to go work out. I'm going to stop eating that thing. I'm tired of fighting with my significant other. I'm going to start picking my battles and not, like, I'm going to be more submissive, and I'm not going to always get mad. That was one of mine for years. Like, I knew, I was so aware that I was the one being the naggy, freaking annoying wife that always pointed out stuff. And I was so committed to not being that, because every time we would fight, I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop doing that. This is going to be it. I'm going to pick my battles. This is it. I'm freaking tired of my mail piling up. I am going to check my mail every single day. So guess what I did for about 2 weeks, if that? Checked my mail every single day. And I'd come out. I have a pile right now from yesterday. So I'd come out and I'd be like, oh my gosh, there's only 4 pieces of mail. This is amazing. And I would check them. And then life kept happening. And I'd be like, oh, I'll just do this later. Let me just put that right there. I'm going to do it later. I'm going to do this one later too. Okay. And guess where I'm at again? I've got piles, unpiled. And now once it reaches a certain pile, once we get to a certain weight, once we start to just believe that that's just how we are, that's just my part. I started to be like, that's just my personality. He's going to have to take it or leave it. He's going to have to deal with the fact that I literally convinced myself that I wasn't a nagging biatch. I was a strong personality, and he's going to just have to deal with it, because I am me, and if he loves me, he needs to love all of me, and I'm not changing, because this is who I am, and I am a vulnerable and authentic woman, and I'm going to be all of me. No, that's bull crap. Nobody is perfect. We all have an ego that needs to come down. We all have ways of being that are not serving the people around us. We all get to shift if we want to be in coexistence with the people we love and care about the most. So how often, the reason why I felt like this was a topic worth sharing is how often in our life are we doing this habit that's not serving us, and then we feel like we're at our breaking point, and we're like, I'm gonna do it. This is gonna be it. I just got diagnosed with XYZ. I'm finally gonna start eating right. And we still don't start eating right. You have a whole diagnosis on your life, and you still can't eat right, because habits are freaking strongholds, and they are hard to break. They are so hard to break. So what I promised you guys was my steps of how, even me, I'm aware of my problem. I'm aware of where I get to get better. And so it's happened in other areas of my life. You guys have heard it with my story of going through my husband's phone, which I am in remission for over a year. Like, but I had to come to a real breaking point. And so here's what I know. Your only thing that really changes human beings is severe desperation, like rock freaking bottom. Like, husband took my ring and was like, middle finger to you, I'm done. And my life flashed before my eyes and I got my life together. So you're either going to hit rock bottom, you're either going to get a diagnosis that actually does scare you. You're either going to, whatever your thing is that you can't break, it's going to take you to rock bottom, or you're going to have an answered prayer through one of God's children. Maybe it's me, maybe and hopefully it's this moment right now, what I'm about to share with you. Or you're going to have the opportunity to move out of inspiration. But those are the only two things that moves people. And unfortunately, most of us wait till the rock bottom to actually shift. So what allows you to shift? What allowed me to stop going through my husband's phone? What is allowing me to get my mail together? What you guys might have seen, what led to this with my mail was, so step number one, and this is how what my podcast that I'm going to share with you guys in a minute came about. Part of why it came about, because it really was something that God downloaded on my heart over a year ago, but I've been waiting and waiting. And so now I'm taking this mail situation as God's nudge of like, it's time. And so the perfectionist in me never finds the right time to do stuff. I mean, not never, because I do a lot of things, but there's a lot more I could be doing that I don't do because I don't find the perfect moment. And so I believe that this mail situation happened again in this moment because I was already entertaining this. And then I think this is what God sent me to, like, be confirmation of it's time to move. And so I'm committed to moving at the cost of not being perfect and at the cost of not having everything the way I want it when I picture it, and knowing that I will evolve to that and that I get to start somewhere. So the number one thing with your problem, whatever it is, I want you to stop right now. And I want you to ask yourself, what is my vice? I see we have 5 people on Zoom today. Last week there was 0 people, or maybe 1, I can't remember. But last time I did the call, there's the people watching on, there's 11 people, maybe more, 13. I don't know how many people are on live, but what's keeping you here? Who read my email? And I got 5 responses. Most of the times I send an email every Monday with some word of encouragement. Most of the time I don't get any responses. What was it in that email? What is it right now that has you thinking, oh my God, I need to hear what she's about to say? What is it? What's your advice? Is it checking your mail? Is it going through your husband's phone? Is it not tracking your money? Is it being in debt? Is it not saving, not spending properly? Is it being a nagging biatch? Is it yelling at your kids? Is it not being present for your kids and your family? Is it needing to eat better, needing to work out? So find your thing. You don't have to share it if you don't want to. If you want to, go ahead. The more you open up, the more you get your power back. The more you say, I am no longer going to do XYZ, the more you're Dolores says, God, explain, what do you mean by God? Oh, God got you here? Is that what you're saying? All of the above, laughing. Hey, that everything I'm listing is me. My sugar addiction, my going through the phone, me being nagging, all me. I'm giving you guys examples firsthand. So money. Okay, great. So here's the thing. Number 1 is acknowledging what the thing is, because what you resist persists. So here's how another way to say that. What you avoid only grows. So when I avoid my mail, it's just going to keep piling up as it does. And then guess what happens when things grow and they pile up and you avoid them for too long? Then when you look at the pile of mail, or you look at the turmoil in your relationship, or you look at how much weight you have to lose, or you look at how addicted to sugar you are and how can I possibly give up XYZ. For me, there's this new cinnamon roll place by my house, and it's like, oh my God. Like, I think about them every day still, and I'm like I'm weeks and weeks into no sugar. So whatever we're avoiding, when we avoid not stopping the sugar addiction, we get deeper into the addiction. When we don't stop going through someone's phone, we get deeper into the addiction. That's actually an addiction too. That gut feeling you get if you've ever gone through your significant other's phone or computer or whatever, that's an addiction. That gut racing adrenaline, it's negative, but it's addiction. So here's one thing that I've learned in my work of growing as a leader and doing work to do this transformation work with people, is that we get addicted to darkness too. It's like, just because being broke is a bad thing doesn't mean you're not addicted to it. You're actually so used to being broke that it's more comfortable being broke than it is to seeing an opportunity to not be broke. That's more uncomfortable, because in order to change the sugar addiction, you got to give up some stuff, and that hurts. It hurts to not be able to eat the cake at Mother's Day when they're baking your favorite cake for everyone else and you're not eating sugar and you have to pass up. That hurts. It hurts giving up, not going through my husband's phone and having to mentally tell myself he's not doing anything, which he's not. That's just a story I created in my head. But it hurts. It takes strength to talk myself out of that. It hurts to track your money and start to see, like, here's why I avoid tracking my money, because if I were to track, when the one time I actually did track my money, I was like floored at how much money I spent on eating out, that I never wanted to see that number again. But guess what? Now I just probably spend even more money because I'm avoiding it. So whatever your thing is, your number one step to getting out of it is realizing what you're avoiding and why. So today I'm talking about my mail. I was avoiding my mail. I avoid my mail because guess what comes in the mail? Most of my money comes virtually. I get most of my money through my Juice Plus check is deposited direct deposit. My clients pay me through PayPal or like a cash pay. So most money that's coming to my bank account is coming virtually. I don't have to go and check my mail to get my money. Every now and then I do, and I miss the opportunity there. Guess what I also avoid? I avoid logging into my bank now, because when I log on my bank, I have to see my debt. Oh my God, my credit card number is way higher than my cash. I don't really know where the cash is going to come to pay off that debt. So I avoid logging into my thing. Guess what happens when I avoid logging into my banking? I miss fraud. People using my account didn't even know for a long period of time. I miss the fact that one of my bills, you guys, I have so many stories about the prices I've paid for this mail problem. I've had the lights and the water, the lights, the water, and the gas have been shut off at different points in time. One time I was away, I was traveling for a conference, and my babysitter called me and was like, the lights just went out, the power went out. And this was right in the heat of Indy's food, where it had to be heated up and cooked and prepared. And here I am, we have no power. And I'm like calling my neighbor, like, did your guys' power go out too? And she's like, no. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my bill was delinquent for months, but it was because I hadn't logged into my online banking to see that there was a glitch. Guess what else happened? My whole online banking had such a glitch my banking had a glitch that shut off all of my auto pays. So I owed like over $12,000 in our car payment. So I had a guy, my babysitter was like, it might have been my mother-in-law. I don't remember who it was, but somebody who was at my house was like, there was a guy he's out there taking pictures and writing something down. So I ran out and I'm like, what are you doing? And I'm all on defense mode, like, who are you? Why are you taking pictures of my house? Little do I know, that's the person, like, identifying they're here. The car is right there. We're about to repossess it. Like, this is how bad my stuff goes, because I avoid that much. And I avoid because I don't want to see the debt. I don't want to see the cash flow and the debt. The debt is way up here and the cash flow is down here. I don't want to see those things. I don't want to see all the bills that get to be paid this month and the money doesn't match the amount of bills. So I avoid it. But guess what happens when you avoid that? It's just going to grow. And then all my bills that are now late have penalties. So now I'm paying more than I would have if I would have just faced it and figured it out. So number one step to finishing your problem, stopping that addiction, is to identify why you're avoiding not doing it, why you're avoiding the thing that needs to be done in order to reverse it. And then you realize that when you resist it, it's just going to grow. So one of the things that my mentor says, and I know you guys are blowing up, okay, I'm going to read these in a minute, but one of the things that my mentor says is pay now or pay later with penalties and interest. And what that means is for everything in life. That could be a conversation with your significant other. That could be a conversation with your kids. That could be facing your money. That could be anything. So let me use an example of a conversation with a significant other. I'll use my sister as an example. Me and my sister had a disappointment with each other that we didn't address in the now. Pay now. It's going to be tough to pay always. It's everything worth having in life, good or bad, everything worth having. Well, there's nothing necessarily worth having that's bad. So everything worth having in life comes with a cost. Everything you do, every choice comes with a cost, good or bad is what I was getting at. So if you do something bad, you're going to create your own bad karma. If you do something good, it's going to come with a cost still. So the cost is usually bad karma for the bad, and the cost for doing good means you give up something. In order to be on time, you're giving up, probably waking up earlier, or in order to not be addicted to sugar so you don't get joint pain and autoimmune disease, you're going to give up cinnamon rolls. I'm using all my examples. In order to get, so there's a cost. So pay now or pay later with penalties and interest. So what happened in my relationship with my sister was I didn't pay now. I didn't have that uncomfortable conversation of what needed to be talked about in the now. And 2 years went by. So the penalties and interest was 2 years of missing out on being with my sister, missing out hanging out with her, missing her. And then it got to a point where it was so far gone from what actually was that happened, which wasn't even that bad, to now being petty. Oh, she's with her friends and I'm gonna be with mine. I'm not gonna invite her. She's lucky if she gets to come to my party. And I'm sharing this openly because we've talked about this already. But that's the thing. It's penalties and interest. You do it when your relationships at home with your significant others. You don't address something and it's going to come back and you're going to owe more interest, more penalty, because it's going to build up and you're going to have resentment and you're going to be walking around with negative energy when you could have just acknowledged it right there. So acknowledge what you're avoiding, why you're avoiding it. Commit to just jumping in and facing it, because you're going to pay at any point. So why not pay now and get it over with? And the lastly is just do it. Literally just do it. Whatever that thing is that you're avoiding, I can't, with sugar, the only thing that got me to stop eating the sugar is I started to keep telling myself the story of pay now or pay freaking later. I'm already having joint pain. I'm already borderline. Doctors are seeing signs of autoimmune disease. I'm already passing down eczema and gut issues to my kids. I'm already seeing the penalties. So what is the penalty and interest going to look like if I keep on keeping on? And I'm not saying that I'm never going to eat sugar again. What my plan is to get myself off the addiction. And then if I let sugar back in my life, it will be not in my house. It'll be on my birthday or on Christmas, I'll let myself have the treat, but with control. Because the old me didn't have control. It was a treat after every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It was every day. It was candy in my purse. It was sometimes not even eating food and just having this sugar. So pay now or pay later with interest. If you can start telling yourself that, then every time you have a problem, a thing that you're avoiding, get yourself in gear and keep hyping yourself up. Crystal, you're going to stop eating the sugar now and pay the price of it not being comfortable when you go out and you can't have the cake or the sugar. It's not going to be comfortable when Jason's eating the cinnamon roll and you can't. But it's going to be way more comfortable than diabetes medicine, and way more comfortable than dying earlier than you had to. And it's going to be way more comfortable than having diagnoses and having to be dependent on all these diseases. Same thing with my minerals. I hate taking my minerals. They're disgusting. And I pass up on them because they're disgusting. But pay the price of disgusting minerals, or pay the price of not absorbing nutrients and everything I do for my health being a waste because I'm not doing everything that I know that I need to be doing to absorb and to be at my full capacity. So my challenge to you today is to stop and ask yourself, what is it in your life that you're avoiding? Why are you avoiding it? Stop and look at what is it costing you for avoiding it, because it always comes with a cost, good or bad. So which costs? Weigh your costs. Which one would you rather have? Would you rather pay now or pay later with interest and penalty? and then just do it. Just freaking check your mail. So as I close this, and I'm going to read these, but what I'm going to say is what birthed out of this was my mentor has been telling me, like, Crystal, I've been working with my one mentor for 3 years. And then I have another mentor who I have like private time with. And when we had one of our calls, she's like, my lips are so chapped. Ew. She goes, we could literally stop our call. We were like 10 minutes into our hour call. She's like, we could stop our call right now, because all you need to do for your business to go to the next level is to start tracking your business activity. Because I'm the girl that's like, oh, I want that. Okay, just put it on my card. I don't fear debt. So here's another thing. Like, I'm going to share my money. I was at leadership last night at our church. My friend Clarissa invited me to leadership. And the pastor was talking about how he borrowed $5 million and he was freaked out. And he went and he asked another pastor, like, oh my gosh, how do I handle this? This is $5 million. I'm freaking out, blah, blah, blah. And the pastor was like, I've borrowed 25 million or 28 or 20 something million dollars. So the pastor was like, okay, he kind of felt better because it was like a way bigger number, but he's like, okay, so how do you deal with that? And the pastor was like, you want to know my advice? He's like, yes. And he goes, I just don't think about it. And my friend Clarissa looked at me and she's like, oh my gosh, that's something you would say. Because I know what you resist persists. So if you're resisting debt, if you're like, I can't spend $1 because I might get debt, if you're like, I have to save up money because what if this happens, you're resisting, you're putting a constricted energy into the universe. God made the universe. Okay, you're putting restricted energy into the universe to close yourself off to money. If you stop fearing debt, and the same thing this pastor said, the same thing I tell people who think I'm crazy with how I spend money, they're like, he's like, you're doing God's work. So God's going to take care of you. And that's how I feel. I'm doing God's work. I'm not out here buying Louboutins on credit. I would love to. I would love to buy shoes. I love fashion. I love clothes. I want a certain car. I want a certain house. I want to remodel my house, or let alone, actually, I don't even want to remodel. I just want to move. Like, there's so many material things that I could be spending my money on. I'm not being irresponsible spending my money on things that I want. I am spending money in the kingdom. I am tithing. I am investing in my business because my business is God's work. My whole movement, the Fox Project, everything I touch, my content team, which I don't say I can't afford, but I don't know where the money's going to come from every month to pay for them. But guess what? It shows up every month. I find the money every month. But that's because I have faith that God is providing, because I'm in alignment with what God put on my heart and my soul. And so when you're doing God work, you don't have to worry about money. God, and I posted this the other day, the verse, the Matthew 6, verse 25 through 26. He says, like, do I not provide for the birds? The birds fly and they do their job. They're not worried about shelter. They're not worried about if they're going to eat. They know that they're provided for. But yet we humans, we worry, we chase money. When you chase money, you're putting desperate, constricted energy into the universe. When you chase your dreams, when you chase your purpose, which remember, your purpose is waking up and being your best self and being who God called you to be. So when you're chasing God's assignment on your life, money chases you because God said he would take care of you. But the problem is everyone's chasing, I gotta pay my bills, I gotta feed my family, I gotta put a roof over our head, and you're doing the very thing that God said not to do. So what has birthed from this whole crap is I am on day 3 since I realized that I am ready to take on this podcast that God put on my heart over a year ago. I remember I woke up in the middle of the night and I had this whole idea and this whole vision that I know God put on my heart. And I haven't done it yet because I was like, I got to do this, I got to do that. But I believe it's time to do it. So I just told my team, we're doing this. We're shifting focus and we're doing this. So what I'm doing is I'm going to be interviewing, podcasting with money professionals, financial advisors, people who teach you how to budget, people who teach you how to save, pastors who will preach to you about tithing. Tithing is the number one. If your money is off, you better start tithing your 10%. If you don't have a church that you belong to, then you better get in the church. And a lot of people disagree with that. I am a very woo-woo Christian. I I understand why people are leaving the church, but I'm taking a stand that we need to be in the church more than ever. And so if you have a problem with the church, this is something that I heard yesterday from that pastor. And I always say, you have a choice to change. Whatever you're not changing, you're choosing. So how about stop complaining about the church and what you don't like about the church? And how about go into the church and fix it? How about that? Because the church is made up of human beings. Every human from the pastor to the pulpit is flawed. Every single one. So if you're running from the church because you have a problem with it, then you are running from yourself because you are the problem. And that's what that pastor was saying. He was like when you have a problem with something, watch who you talk about it to. Are you talking to the person who can help make a difference? Are you saying, you know what? I don't like church because you guys are too judgmental. I don't like church because you guys are collecting money and I got bills to pay. I don't like church because XYZ. Are you talking to the person that's saying, okay, let me explain to you why we're asking for money. Do you know how much it costs to put this roof over our heads? Do you know how much it costs to keep the lights on in this place? Do you know that these pastors have to feed their families? So when you come to the person who can have a solution to your problem, then you're being open for change. You're being a part of the change. But if you're like, I don't do that because they're this and they're that, you're running because you are the problem. And so be a part of the solution. And so he was saying the difference is a complainer or like someone who has a discussion. And so the reason why I brought up the church is because a lot of people who talk to me about tithing say, well, I don't tithe because I don't have a church. Then there's your number one problem. If you don't have a home church, you need to get intimate with God and find a church. Find a home church that you can feel comfortable joining, being a member of, and tithing into. Because I promise you, once you start tithing, your money will get right. And I don't have godly counsel on this. This is on my list. I was actually going to ask yesterday, but I didn't get the opportunity. But I don't know the answer to this. But I don't personally believe until I'm enrolled into something else to believe. I don't believe that tithing is donating money. Oh, I donated to the children's shelter. I gave away clothes last week. That's not tithing. Tithing is 10% of your dollars that come into your bank account. That's tithing. And it's to a church, to the body of Christ, not just to a charity, not to just anything. That's my opinion. So my point of bringing all this up is that I'm committed to helping us fix our money because money makes the world go round. And I believe money is what's taking people out of their assignment because people don't have time to live in their purpose because they're chasing money. And until we learn how to stop chasing money and let money chase us, I believe we need to start learning and expanding our knowledge. So this podcast is all about interviewing people to help me get my money right. And of course, I'm going to share that. So why not make it a podcast? And I will be podcasting about it while I'm vlogging my experience. So yesterday I went to get my lashes done and my credit card declined. And I vlogged about it. Instead of getting ashamed and running and being like, oh girl, I just used this card. I don't know what happened like I normally do. I don't know. That's interesting. I got money on the account. Let me call them right now. I'll be right back. I'm about to call them right now because, girl, you don't have money on that account. You maxed that credit card out. Like, be honest with yourself. So I'm blogging about my realities of money, and we're all playing at a different level. Most people look at my house and my cars and my lifestyle, and they're like, she doesn't know what struggle is. Like, I stay in debt. I stay in negative. I stay getting overdraft fees. I stay getting bounced credit cards because I don't have my money right. I just am living at a different level. The money that needs to come into my bank account to keep and maintain my lifestyle is different from the next person, but I'm still in the struggle bus. So the principles is like, for the people who are so close-minded that they don't even see that, like, there's your number one step. Open up your mind. Stop being so judgmental. Stop being like, oh, I'm a victim. You're not. You live in a bigger house than me. I'm the one struggling. You're not. I'm struggling too. I might not have this house in 6 months if I don't get my shit together. So while I'm learning from these people, these principles, I will be applying them and vlogging about it and then collectively throwing out this content so you guys can take it if it's going to be helpful for you. And the number one thing that I've been advised on so far is tracking my money. So both of my mentors have said what you don't track won't grow. What you track grows. So they said, literally, my mentor, I gotta go. I forgot I have a call right now. My mentor was like, when I started tracking my money, it grew. So I'm tracking and I'll be keeping track of that. So my challenge to you guys today is look for a church home, start tithing 10% and start tracking your money. Every dollar that comes in and every dollar that goes out. And stay tuned for the blog, the podcast, and everything that will come to support you. Thank you guys for getting on. I have to run because I'm 8 minutes late to my meeting. Oh my God, 9 minutes, bye. Sorry I didn't read these. Oh my gosh, there's so many comments here. I'm leaving, but I'm screenshotting because my FOMO is kicking in. I'm like, I didn't hear what they were saying. Oh my God. Oh, I need to stop recording.